I'll be taking any questions you have regarding anything that's going on in the markets, whether it be FX, gold, stocks, whatever's on your mind. So just waiting for some people to populate in the chat box here. Hi, Joseph. How are you? Nice to see you. So, I want this to be kind of an interactive forum. I'll answer any questions you have on your mind. Hey, Rafael. I've got one eye on the NASDAQ here. Saladin, Christopher, Maria, JC. So welcome. If you have any questions, just let me know. Moses. Aaron, how are you? Ketan, what are you guys trading? What are you guys into? You trading cryptos? You trading stocks? Hey, Ketan. Ajik, how are you? Mohammed, so do you guys have any questions? Anything you want to talk about? What are you guys watching or following in the markets? I want this to be more of an interactive type of thing. I'm not here just to make speeches. Valentina, how are you? Derek? So Mark says he's new to trading. Joseph is looking at Forex pairs. Which pairs are you looking at, Joseph? Ketan. So Brian, the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ shot up today. Bill, options and stocks. So I shorted more Zoom on the opening. I shorted Zoom stock, ticker symbol ZM, about 2 weeks ago at a price of $347. We're trading about $330 now, and I just sold some more. I sold short. And when you sell short, you're actually betting on the decline of the stock. So I think Zoom is, traced out a very bearish price pattern over the last 6 months. And we could have a bounce here. There is some support at the 315 area. It keeps bouncing between 315 and 330. But I think eventually this thing will go lower. So Valentina wants to know about the pound versus the yen. Yeah, I'm looking very closely at these yen pairs. I think they're at an inflection point, meaning that they could go one way or another. But the main trend has been higher over the last couple months. And, we're just really at a huge resistance level at the 152 to 155 on the weekly. And so I'm watching this really carefully. I mean, this could, be a point where we start to go back lower, or it just could be a consolidation. So I think when, I'm a little bit ambivalent, what I try and do is, just to see if there's, just look for more price history to give me more information. So, pound yen has been going straight up. We did have what's called a key reversal, where last week the prices made a new high and then they settled on the low of the week. Now, typically those reversals indicate, the next direction they want to go. But, to my mind, you just can't look at those reversals in a vacuum. You have to have a pattern. So I don't have enough information on pound yen to make a decision one way or another. Right now the path of least resistance is higher, but we've hit a meaningful resistance level. So I'm just really on the sidelines. So Mitch wants to know about silver. Silver and gold, to my mind, looking bearish. Silver hit that major resistance level at 30. And now we've just been consolidating between like 25 and 27. And, any kind of price movement under, I'd say 24, probably send this thing lower. But right now it's just very sideways. I prefer looking at gold. I think, gold is stalled out here. And I think gold and silver are going to head lower. Chun wants to know about pound versus Canadian. So pound versus Canadian is in a long-term sideways, trendless thing. When I look for trades, I look for trades that are going to move from one level to the other. I'm just not trying to pick, 50 pips out of the next, squiggle in the chart. So I want to bet on something that's going to go down or bet on something that's going to go higher. Pound Canadian has just been locked in this trendless trading range. But if I had to put a bet, I'd say the next move is higher. Valentina wants to know about Tesla. Tesla is, in a very interesting area. It's been bouncing between 650 on the low side and 720 on the on the upside, and it's been boxed in here. And this woman, Kathy Wood from the ARC Financial, put a or $6,000 target on Tesla. I mean, just a monster price target. So we gapped up today. We had what's called a key reversal last week. Where we went under 630, closed on the high of the day. We've gapped, trading at 685 now. So I would say we've got some very positive price action in Tesla. You've almost got an inverted head and shoulders now, and I think the key level, if it breaks $720, I think it's going to go a lot higher. So Martin says Zoom's going against us. So I shorted Zoom at 347, and I just shorted some more today at 330. So right now I'm actually making some money on Zoom. Yeah, it's grabbed a bit of a foothold here. I'm gonna obviously see how we dig in, but I'm very bearish on Zoom. So today it gapped up a little bit, and I just sold more into that. I shorted more stock. So I have a lot of stock short Zoom. So kind of see how that goes today. It's really not really going with the market. It's tending to just flag in here. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. Like I said, there is some support, at the 315 area. So James says, I'm new at stocks. How can you buy at a high price? Wait a minute. And sell at a lower price? Well, you're not supposed to buy at a high price and sell. You're supposed to buy low and sell high if you're going long. Now, in terms of shorting a stock, when you short a stock, you actually are betting on a decline. It's a kind of a complicated maneuver that your broker does for you. You don't really have to think about it, but effectively, your broker has to have borrowed shares in his inventory, and then you borrow those shares to short them. But the bottom line is, if you go short, you're betting on a decline in the stock, and then you buy it back, hopefully at a lower price, and that's how you make profit on a short. If you're going long, you want to buy low and sell high. So Daniel says Zoom has got a temporary double bottom. Yeah, it does, but it has to go way above. Let me see these, about 355 in order to go above the neckline of this double bottom. So right now the NASDAQ is going much higher, and Zoom's just kind of hanging out really right where it opens. So I'm kind of keeping one eye out on it. I've got a heavy short position, and I like the long-term chart of that. Ebenezer says, is it possible to share your screen? So I don't think it's possible on this. I'll have to find out. I'm new to this screen. What I do is every Friday I have something called Master Pattern Trader, where I go through all of the currency pairs, gold, stocks on a chart and show you exactly what I'm looking at. I don't think I can do it. I'm not sure if I can do it on this. Charles says, what is your view on the NASDAQ? It's just really bouncing around in a major trading area between, 312 and 325 on the QQQs. Today, the bounce, today is pretty considerable. So I would have to say that, we have some support here, and anything above 325 on the triple Qs is likely to open up another, big level higher. Right now we're trading around 319. So, again, when you ask about the NASDAQ, the proxy for the NASDAQ is the QQQ ETF. And yeah, right now it looks like, just like Tesla, we forming this inverted head and shoulders. So it's bouncing around in these huge trading ranges. It looked bearish. I took a monster move on the downside when the QQQs were at 334. I bought some put options and they dropped to about 300. And I made a lot of money on that. And now, we're just in this area, and I'm just going to have to see how we resolve it. This is pretty bullish price action today. Um, so Mitch wants to know about Apple. Apple's been really in kind of a sluggish, hasn't really made any price movement, here or there for quite some time. And it's trading between 116 and 126. Kind of hard to say. This kind of has a sluggish look to it. So I think the bloom is off the rose, for Apple for now. Gamas says, Tesla, where is the resistance? So I'd say resistance in Tesla is around $720. We're trading $689 right now. So we're between the 640 low that I put in last week and the 720 high. We're trading right about in the middle at about 689. So, how it kind of traverses from here is going to be very instructive as to its next move. Jiki, XAU USD, which is spot gold, I have got a downward bias to that. We've started the week somewhat weaker, and I think that you're going to leak back to the supporting trend line of an ascending, broadening price pattern around 650. So I do think that gold will run into some headwinds up here. Any thoughts on the Russell? Yeah, I mean, all of these indexes have kind of found some strength today, and we could go to new highs on the triple Qs and the Dow, but I don't know. I think not too far from here, I'm looking for a major turning. It may not be right now. Let's see. Ejiki wants to know on dollar Canadian. This is a thing that I think caught some support right here. So yeah, I mean, this is in a long-term downtrend, but there is some support right here between 120, 1 and 120, 3. So we caught a little bit of a support. We, hit a key reversal last week where we went lower, closed higher, but this is trading in a broad, trading band. And I would, if it went 50, 80 pips higher, I would short into that. I think dollar Canadian is very weak, and I would short any decent rallies in that. Do I think interest rates have bottomed? I look at a couple of ETFs. One is the IEF. I mean, there's a bunch of them. You could look at TLT. It looks like we found, some, excuse me, some support today in the 10-year, but the long-term trend is lower. I'm looking at the 10 and 20, and they found some support today. We'll have to see if that holds. So Lemay says, I've got a lot on volatility, but looking at the weekly S&P 500 and NASDAQ looking for it feels like a big risk. Yeah, so I don't think it's just quite time for those volatility plays. One of the ETFs I look at is UVXY, which is a volatility on S&P, and it's making new lows today, which indicates that there's still a lot of strength in the S&P. Rashad wants to know about pound versus New Zealand dollar. Yeah, so this is one that's also in a very kind of sideways posture. It looks like it's, found some resistance up here. Um, I have been expecting this thing to go stronger. And right now we're just in this really whippy trading range. So once again, guys, what I do is I look for setups, double bottoms, double tops, certain trading patterns that lead me to understand where the next move is. That move could be for the next, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. But when things get really range bound, I just leave those. I just let them figure themselves out, and I come back to to visit that another day. So right now, I mean, I made a monster amount of money 3 weeks ago betting on the short side of the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ did come off about 10-15%. I made a ton. So sometimes now, for the next couple of weeks, a lot of things need to resolve themselves. A lot of these dollar pairs, the dollar's caught a bit of support here, even though I think the long-term trend is lower. The yen is in a very big inflection point where I'm looking to see if these yen pairs are going to continue with their monster rise, but I think they need more time just to settle out and resolve themselves. So frankly, I don't have a lot on my radar this week that I'm really looking at that are phenomenal opportunities. I think one of the stocks that I'm looking at, Uber, Uber, you know, uh, looks like it's got an interesting kind of base here, but it's kind of not doing anything today either. So things are really betwixt and between. So to my way of thinking, I look to make money on the monster moves in the market, but they don't happen every day. They don't happen every week. They don't happen even every month. So sometimes you just got to sit back and let the market do its thing and wait for the market to come to you. So if you're trading through it, if you're trying to trade through something, you know, um, that's not the way to go. Wait for the market to come to you. Wait for a setup that shows itself and reveals itself. And, um, and there's just nothing that I'm kind of going through a lot of stocks that I follow right now. There's just nothing that's really on my radar. Um, Despite these, up moves in the NASDAQ, and some of these charts are, still quite bearish. So, things are very betwixt and between in everything. Gold, there's just not a whole lot to write home about. Um, James says UVXY, it's the opposite of the S&P. So Mustafa says, yes, patience is so important. So it's just a question of waiting, uh, for the market to come to you. Somebody asked about WRK. No, I think WRK is now formed like a double top here. And actually, it's looking like that's quite an exciting opportunity on the downside. So yeah, no, I thought WRK, was, looking good on the setup on the weekly, and now it's kind of just formed actually a double top on the daily, which actually could reveal a lower move here. I look at BYND. There's just not a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, everything is just very static right now. Rafael says, what's your opinion on naked short selling? Is this a manipulation? So look, I actually go short stocks a lot. I've been betting on the downside of Snow, SNOW, Dash, Lemonade, LMND. I'm just making a ton shorting stocks. But, this whole era with GameStop has made shorting a very nervous activity because they could find your stock and rate it. But I think shorting is a very necessary part of the process. It creates liquidity. Otherwise you'd like have an elevator that goes from the penthouse to the basement without any stops. If you didn't have other people betting the other way and doing other things, when you go short you have to buy, so it adds liquidity to a market. And then the other thing about shorting, it exposes companies that are weak management, weak, in its business proposition, whatever. And so, this should not be looked at as I think a lot of these Reddit people are trying to do these short squeezes or take out these shorts, for just political, things. They want to do nothing more than to, hurt the people that they perceive hurt them. And to me, that's just not an appropriate arena to do that, because eventually, you're just going to get hurt. The financial, hedge funds and institutions are a lot bigger than individual traders. So, but like GameStop, if it's trading at $193 and its value is $10, then people should short that to expose the fraud of that. So I don't look at it in terms of political opinions or things of that nature. The market is about price discovery, and ultimately the value of a stock or the price of the stock has to reflect the value. Now sometimes this is very tricky because Amazon, for instance, didn't have earnings for 20 years. The market just gave the venture capitalists just gave Amazon the run room to build out their platform, and they didn't look at profitability for 20 years. So sometimes a little bit tricky. But a thing like GameStop that goes from zero to $500, there's no reason for that. So I think short selling is an effective mechanism to expose that. So Neil says GameStop will release its earnings tomorrow. I don't believe it has any earnings. This is just a mechanically induced gamma squeeze. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, the NASDAQ is kind of soaring today. So, whatever that, down move was over the last couple of weeks, that could be over. I mean, it looks like we're kind of creating this inverted head and shoulders, but I don't know. It's just very range bound. It's very whippy right now. And so what I try and do is find setups where I can understand the risk and reward. And so, days like this, I just let them flesh themselves out. And then I see where the high and low is. And I also see where things close. So it's one thing when you're watching things intraday, and that's why it's such a gamble to bet on intraday trading. If you're betting on a 15-minute chart, you're trying to snatch out, 7 pips here or a buck or two there. It's that ultimately is just gambling. What I do is I look for a setup, and then I wait to see how the day closes. So, for instance, in Tesla, if we close really at the high of the day, right into the 720 resistance, then it's probably gonna keep going. And Tesla is finding a lot of traction right now. It's trading at the high of the day at 693, and so this NASDAQ run looks like it's turning around. Whatever the price patterns were that were guiding it in the last couple of weeks, looks like it's turning it around. I mean, remember the macro trend, these stocks are higher. And so I just saw a pattern a couple of weeks ago that, I thought I could exploit. And that's really what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to take the piece of the middle of a big move, up or down. So the NASDAQ was at 334. It crashed to 297. I don't know what that is. It's over a 10% move. And my objective is take a piece of the middle. I ended up taking out all of that. I bought puts when it was at 334. I covered my puts when it was, at 300. And I made a lot of money, in that move. And so now I don't have to get involved in every squiggle right now. I'm just looking for my next play, and wherever that is. So, and I'm just, things are betwixt and between. I want to see how they resolve. So it looked like the NASDAQ was turning lower last week. Now it looks like it's got some strength. It looks like it may be forming an inverted head and shoulders. And so I'm agnostic. I'm not, I don't get married to a trade one way or another. I made a lot of money on the downside. If the thing's going to go up now, then I'll get on the other side. So Gareth says a QQQ looks like a head and shoulders on the 4-hour chart. Well, I kind of look at, daily charts. I try not to look in the weeds. I don't know if you mean by a inverted head and shoulders or a head and shoulders, Gareth, because, on the daily, I can look at these intervals interday and see what you're looking at. No, there was a, kind of a double bottom on the, on the intraday charts, the 60-minute charts at 297. And, I was wondering, so, NASDAQ's got to get above this 324 area. And if it does that, then it's probably going to go and make new highs again. So I don't, yeah, I see the head and shoulders. I do. I see the double. Yeah, it's it's in this range between 310 on the QQQs and 324, and how it resolves that is probably going to give us the indication of the next big run. So I've been talking about Zoom. I'm short Zoom at 347, and I shorted more into the opening right here. Where is Zoom right now? Zoom's trading at 330. So I shorted it right here at 330. High's been 333, low's been 327. So I've had a position on since 346, actually close to 347 for about 2 weeks now. And I just added to my position into this rally. So any thoughts on your mind? Any questions? Let me just go through. Raphael says GME actually has value. It shouldn't be run into the ground. Yeah, the question is, Raphael, what is that value? I just question any stock that goes from $3 to 500, then crashes from 500 to 40, and then goes from 40 to 400 in a week. So that to me is just not a healthy movement that reflects an underlying thing. That just reflects some manipulation. So Martinez says, "What is your opinion on the commodity super cycle?" I don't know. That's above my pay grade. Neil, dollar yen. Neil, I'm looking at these yen pairs very carefully. I've been making a ton for years, betting the short size of dollar yen. Dollar yen is in this, long-term descending triangle, and it's, got lower highs. Every time it bounces off the 103 level, it bounces again. And we did that again. And every bounce is lower than the last. So it creates this zigzag descending wedge pattern that looks like this, like that. That's what it looks like. So it's a descending wedge, and right now it's trading, at the upper levels of this descending wedge. And I want to see how it kind of behaves in here. The question for me is, is this, an inflection point where it starts to break above this descending pattern, or does it just get sent back lower with every rally we've seen? And, I just made a ton. Every time it goes up, I've been shorting it. This time, I don't know if we're going to, break out of here. But I think, again, this is probably an area that is going to be a fertile area to get short again. I mean, the long-term history on dollar yen is, much lower. Dollar yen was 350, yen to the dollar. I don't know when it was, 10 years or 20 years ago. And now we're 100. So the long-term trend is the super cycle is lower on this thing. So, we've just kind of hit this resistance level between 108 and 109 on dollar yen. And I just want to just watch it in here. So I don't see any reason to react one way or another. I don't think it's going to go much higher this week or much lower. So I'm just watching these yen pairs very carefully, and watching to see how they behave at these resistance levels. Val says, well, what about the FTSE, which is the UK stock exchange? Um, we have this huge double bottom on the FTSE. It's really hard to tell. FTSE never went back to the original highs around 7,800. We're kind of in between, the highs and the lows. And, it's got this kind of triangle forming here. So if it breaks out of this triangle, it has this massive double bottom, at the 5,000 and 5,400 area. So, it should resolve this triangle that I'm looking at on the weekly chart higher. So, Mark, I don't have puts on Zoom. I am short the stock. So, to my mind, the puts are too expensive. So I look for, great leverage, when I'm buying these puts. I really have to see an ability to make 3-to-1, 5-to-1 on my money. And, right now, like the 325 puts on Zoom are trading for $6, which means my break even is 319. So that, even if it went to 310, I would make 2-to-1 on my money. I just don't see enough leverage there. So when I'm bargain hunting for puts or calls, because it's a really risky bet, I really want to get the leverage. So for instance, when I was looking at the triple Qs when the index was 334 and I thought it would fall out of bed, I bought the 320 strike price for $1. Now each put or call is based on 100 shares, so $1 is $100, and I bought $100,000 worth of those that were expiring the next week. And so the triple Qs on Monday and Tuesday fell from 334 all the way to 310. So the puts that I bought for $1 went to $10. I got out from anywhere from 6 to 8. So I made 600 to 800% on my money. And so, if I'm looking for a play, that's what I'm looking for. And Zoom is just too expensive. So instead of, buying calls or puts that are going to expire, I'm just short the stock. So I can just sit in the stock, hang out, and see what it does. So right now the indexes are rallying, all this morning, and Zoom is just kind of hanging around its opening price, really not making much progress to the upside. So I'm just short the stock. I'm not long the puts, Mark. Gia Millionaire wants to know about Euro, US dollar, and then I'm going to end it there. So, again, the dollar pairs are not that exciting to me right now. I think they're just locked in this trading range. The euro kind of has this, resistance level at 122, 123 that I think or thought that it could, push this thing back to its support around 116, 117. I'm likely short the euro, but frankly, it's, not something that, really gets me that excited. Like I said, there's just not a whole lot going on right now. I'm just kind of relaxing after a heavy couple of weeks. I made a ton of money, and I'm just going to see how the market shakes out in the next couple of days, wait for the next pattern that I can understand, and, get on board that. And, I'll let you know when I see that. But right now, the NASDAQ is, acting very strong, and looks like we're putting in an inverted head and shoulders. But again, it has to get above that 324. So this is when during the day, things always look exciting. You just, when you see the momentum going higher, you just want to chase that momentum. But, it's going to be really important to see how we kind of settle out and what's happening here, because I'm looking at a lot of stocks while the Nasdaq's going up. A lot of stocks are not putting on huge moves. Nasdaq stocks. Tesla's right in between. It's 692. I mean, its price action does look pretty favorable for now. So I'm just going to watch to see how it closes. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow and see if I'm always researching new charts, new opportunities. I keep an eye on my core things that I've got an eye on, like Lyft and Uber. I'm short this stock, IPG Photonics. The ticker symbol is IPGP. And frankly, I'm losing in that. I shorted it at 204. It's trading at 212. And if it gets back to 220, I'm probably just going to get out of this. But that has a huge double top price pattern. It appears like it was rolling over. And so, I'm going to kind of watch that carefully. IPGP. It's pretty thinly traded. I probably shouldn't be short something like that, but I am. And so, and then I'm short Zoom. And I don't know. I just have a good feeling about Zoom. I just think that the chart pattern is so broken that this thing is going to go lower at some time. My timing might be off. But like I said, I've got a short at 347, so I've got a bit of a cushion there. And that's the one that I'm really going to watch and see how it closes today. It says, would appreciate your final opinion on WRK. I told our guys to get out of that a while ago. I would get out of this, put a sell stop at today's low. It's, kind of making a double top right here. So let me just kind of look at this, because it was looking friendly on the weekly into the close last week. And then it just, it's kind of dying right now. And yeah, this thing seems to be rolling over. Yeah, I would get out of it now. If you don't want to get out of it, put a sell stop at today's low, which was 48.90. So I kind of saw that kind of wasn't going anywhere, and advised our people to get out a few weeks ago. Jiki, I think I will try and do one of these talk presentations each day through Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll try and find something, but right now I'm not. Nothing really turns me on. We're just stuck in these wide trading ranges in gold and the indexes, in Tesla, in everything. So we may be just in a bit of a trading range environment. And these, I hate, look, like I said, I'm looking for something that is going to explode one way or another. And it could be just for a day or two. It could be for a week or two. It could be for several months. But I'm looking for something that'll go from one level to the next. And right now we're just banging around between these wide trading ranges. And it's, just pretty muddled. And so thanks, Mustafa. Mustafa says, I learned from strong and weak positions. Yeah. So, again, I've got one eye open on Tesla. To me, that's a proxy, for how the NASDAQ's going to go. It's just banging around both sides. So, but the fact that the NASDAQ has displayed such strength at this 310, suggests that the big move that I was looking at on the downside may have to wait. But I think that we're not too far away. That even if the S&P goes to make a new high at 42 or 4,400, I think that we're not too far away from a trading top that will produce a pretty robust move to the downside. But we may not be there yet. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end it there. Thanks again for checking in, and I'll see you all tomorrow.